Meet the Transfers Gonzaga Bulldogs edition. This is a star-studded transfer class. I like it, Riley Davis. Gonzaga slots in at 18th on our transfer class rankings. I had Gonzaga 15th in my personal rankings. Where did you have the Bulldogs?
Had him 16th. Feels a
Okay.
little low, to be honest with you.
It does feel low. I think they're low because I think Ralph didn't include them. You're gonna have to
I
answer for
feel
that
like
one.
I was I was gonna say I feel like I was personally too low on them. I might be underselling them after preparing for this video. I like them a little bit more than I thought I did.
Yeah, you, me, and Carter all had them 15th. I think Ralph had them not ranked in the transfer classes. Maybe that was an oversight. I don't know. But hard for me to not rank them. I think this class is pretty loaded. One more question before we get into this. Are we considering Braden Smith part of this class? He's redshirting, but we kind of have
We
to, but he's not going to
yeah.
play.
Yeah, we can mention him briefly on the off chance that his red shirt gets pulled.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Let's start with a couple questions. Number one, did Mark Few do what he set out to do with this transfer class at Gonzaga?
I think he did. There weren't a ton of holes on this Gonzaga roster. If anything, if you look at the one from last year, they lack some depth on the wing after Steel Venters went down. But you bring back Hickman, you bring back Nimhard, and then obviously you have Big Ek down at the five. Those positions are set, and you got a wing in Michael Ajayi, who I know went through the NBA draft process. I don't know if he's an NBA player, but uh, he still feels like he's good. He's good enough to be a complementary piece next to your guards, but he's not gonna be taking those dude shots away if that's who you want, if you want the ball in their hands. Caleb Battle, you kind of have a lottery ticket off the bench at the wing as well. It's sort of been in losing situations thus far through his career. But maybe you hope that Mark Few can get the most out of him. And then even Emmanuel Innocente, I think, is a do everything wing. And I'll talk about him in a little bit, who comes from like a pretty good mid major in Tarleton State.
Yeah, I am in on this class. I think it was like knock it out of the park, home run type thing from Mark Few. I think now his job with this class was a lot easier than a lot of other coaches who had to do things in the portal. Some people had to rebuild entire rosters, but it's a credit to what Gonzaga's program is right now that they didn't need to do that. They needed to go out and big game hunt and land two or three big game names, and that's exactly what he did. And the names he added, I don't think are going to piss anybody else on the returning roster off. It was a really, really job well done for Mark Few. What could have made this class better? What one change could have improved this?
Maybe if you're looking for someone who's a little more proven at the power conference level than Michael Ajayi, that's the one thing I could say if you want a wing with some power conference experience, but that's getting a little nitpicky. I still think he's going to be a really good fit.
Yeah, I think the only like bit of hesitation I have at all on this is it feels like they let Anton Watson leave without trying to replace him. And I think Gonzaga fans will say, well, yeah, Ben Gregg's going to be the replacement. And I think that's fine. Like between Braden Huff and Ben Gregg, you want those guys to play minutes. My only thing would just be Anton Watson was so good and so dependable and so
Mm-hmm.
reliable. It's a little surprising they didn't bring someone archetype wise in to try and fill his role.
Right.
But again, you believe in the young talent, so I can't even knock it that much. Let's go player by player. We're going to work our way up the list. So let's start with the guy who we believe is redshirting this year. That would be Braden Smith. Not that Braden Smith, the other Braden Smith, the one from Colgate. I have been in love with this kid's game, though. I picked Colgate to upset Baylor in the tournament because I love Braden Smith. I look really stupid in hindsight, but he's like a miniature triple double threat. He's a 6 foot point guard that averaged 12, 6, and 6 last year. Didn't shoot the ball super well, but was even better as a freshman. Does it make sense that he's redshirting? Like, I guess we know what his role is, but I'm still a little surprised he chose to go to Gonzaga and wait a year.
Yeah, I mean, I know we did a breakdown on his commitment to Gonzaga initially a couple of months ago, and I went to bat for the Gonzaga red shirts. They got a good history. Nigel Williams Goss. Get in your history books. Get on your sports reference pages. I think it's a good move for Braden, and we could see him. I don't know, a star would be a bridge too far, but a very quality starter for Gonzaga in his first full season there.
I'm just anti redshirt, man. That it goes so against what I believe in and my core values. Let the young bulls rock, not make the old bulls wait. That's what's happening right now. But yeah, he's going to be really good. I have no doubt that whenever he puts on a Gonzaga uniform, he's going to help this program immensely. And this won't be the last time you hear about Braden Smith in this video from me. More on that later. Emanuel Asiedu is next. He comes from Tarleton, where he played 31 minutes a game. Offensively, nothing crazy. 6-6 last year, 3 assists, shot 31% from three, but he is a big time defender, 6'5", can guard multiple positions. What do you make of Emanuel?
I kind of love the addition. I struggle to see him crack the rotation just because, like, if you look at Gonzaga's depth chart, he's probably not getting minutes over Dusty Stromer. He's probably not getting minutes over Steele Venters. He's probably not getting minutes over Kaith Battle. Those are the three wings coming off the bench. But I love the addition. You know, Tarleton was a 25-win team last year. That was another team that I covered for the Almanac back when we were doing that. And their whole MO is control the glass, be super physical. Like they emphasize defense so heavily with guarding the ball, and like I just they can force turnovers as well. Like I like getting a low maintenance wing coming from that system who sort of feels like a bit of a lottery ticket if he hits in his second year with the program. Maybe he can become something more. So yeah, I have him as, to be a non-factor is a bit too harsh, but I would say he's going to have a decent amount of DNPs, but I still like his game.
Yeah, and for the sake of it, I don't think I laid it out like I'm supposed to. We're trying to define these guys as stars or starters or role players or non-factors. So it's pretty black and white, but I think you got to lump these guys into one of those buckets. Um, Look, Gonzaga's loaded. And for that reason, I think this year I have Innocenti as a non-factor. I think down the line he could be a very important piece. And in general, this is a great culture ad that speaks to what Gonzaga is. You rip a guy who's a promising freshman on a team that won a bunch of games. I mean, he was all defense as a freshman in his conference in the WAC, and you just rip him from a team that won a lot of games. And now, like, he's it seems like Mark Few gets guys to sign up to be role players more than any other program in the country. Everybody else wants to transfer for minutes. These guys just want to transfer to be a part of it. It speaks to what Gonzaga is, but I think he's buried on the depth chart. I just think he's going to be 11th or so. And for the sake of being a little bit of a devil's advocate on Innocenti, he was on the all defensive team, an elite defender, quote unquote. He had 88 fouls last season. That's 21 more than his steals and blocks combined. So
Because he
like,
plays hard.
okay, he plays hard, but like I just that would scare me a little of like the quote unquote elite defender that in the WAC fouled more than he did the statistical categories that define defense. You know?
Yeah. I think this. Okay, I'm not a advanced metrics expert by any means. I like Ken Palm. I feel like I can figure my way around this. They were 220th in the country in defensive free throw attempt rate, which I think means they sent their opponents to the line a lot. So I'm going to blame it on the Tarleton system that I just gassed up and say, hey, they let the guys rock. They let the guys play physical. Mark, if you can rein that in a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, up the list. I think there are two potential stars in this group. It's kind of nitpicking which name I drop first. Based on something you said earlier in the video, I'm going to name this guy first. Kaith Battle. That's what you tell me to call him. I think it's Kaith Battle, but I won't fight you. Big time scorer, 14.8 points a game last season for Arkansas. I don't think he really does anything but score the basketball. But this is also a Gonzaga team that I think at times needs help scoring the basketball. He's a good shooter. You could tell me he's the starter at the three on this team. I would believe you. You could tell me he's a sixth man extraordinaire. I would believe you. What do you think his role is?
Yeah, I'd say rotation. It's funny, like, because he was something like a 17, 18 point per game scorer at Temple. When he hit the portal, I think it was the typical, like, oh, he's just a shot chucker, been on a bunch of bad teams. That was applied to him. Then remember when Arkansas beat Purdue in that exhibition last year, and we were all like, oh, Arkansas is going to be a top 15 team?
Yep.
Khalif Battle was awesome in that game. And I was like, wow, I didn't know about this dude's game. And then he sort of just went back into being on another losing team. However, the fact that he transferred to Gonzaga tells me he kind of recognizes he's been in these bad situations and he's moving forward to correct it. And I trust this staff maybe more than any in the country at developing players, at maximizing their roster. So yeah, I think he's going to be a really good rotation piece for Mark Few and the Zags.
Hold on to your britches, ladies and gentlemen. I believe Kaith Battle is a star. And I think that's how he's going to be used on this team, Riley. I think there's a very serious world where he starts. I think there's a very serious world where he leads Gonzaga in scoring. And
Wow.
I don't even think Gonzaga fans necessarily anticipate this. They don't make a lot of dudes in college basketball that scored 21 points a game and shot 49% from three on 6 attempts. Like, he's done it before. If you like go through his last 4 seasons, he's played 4 seasons, 15, 21, 17, 14 points a game. Now, the big asterisk on this is the season I'm pointing to where he scored 21 points a game. He only played 7 games. So I get it. It's not it's not like he did that for a full season, but there have been month-long stretches. We've seen this, okay? Added together, I really do believe in him. I just think this is one of the better scorers in the country. I felt like when Arkansas was playing well last season, he shined, and when they weren't playing well, he was one of the only guys you could rely on. It was like him and Tremont Mark, and everybody else kind of just went away and hid. Kaith Battle never did that to me. I think he's a guy whose job is going to be made infinitely easier playing next to guards that are vets that you trust in Nemhard and in Hickman. And all he's going to be asked to do is go out and be what he is. Just be a great scorer. We don't need you to do anything else on this team. We have everything else on this team. It's going to work.
Great nitpicky there. I was like, I do not remember a 22 point per game season from Kaith Battle. I'm gonna roll with Kaith. I know I said Caleb. I like Kaith, but Mance is also old. This might be our Deloitte All Star of the year. This is his sixth season of college basketball.
Yeah.
But
No,
he's
again, but
best situation by far though. I like this. I don't hate that. Like sometimes guys just need a good situation.
6 seasons or 5 previous seasons, only 101 games. That's probably not great. Like durability is the big question here for sure. But man, he shot over 200 free throw attempts last year. He's been an elite free throw shooter his whole life, like 4 consecutive seasons over 80%. I just buy it. I think his job's going to be easy. They're going to ask him to do what he's great at, arguably elite at, and I think it's going to work. The last name here, Michael Ajayi. I know there are a lot of people who believe he is the definite best player in this class. Are you one of those people?
I was until I looked at Kaith Battle's free throw numbers. I didn't realize he got to the line. I didn't realize he got to the line like that, dude. His
Yeah.
free throw rate for last year was 73% on an awful team that had no one else who could score. Like,
Yeah.
and he still was able to do what he did. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
wait, Riley, when you watched Gonzaga last year, like when they struggled, whenever they had an issue, didn't it feel like it was just nobody can score? Like you fixed that now. Everything else is back, but you got a dude who's an absolute bucket. That's why I like Battle. Anyways, on to Ajayi.
I really like Ajayi too. I had him as a starter, but he might have to go sit on the bench and be a sixth man if Kaith is here. Um, yeah, elite catch and shooter, can do a little bit off the bounce. Get another dude who should give you that scoring pop off the perimeter.
I like in theory when you can just be like the premier program in your conference and then just take any good players from other teams in the conference. Like that's fun. Like it must
It's
be so
special, yeah.
frustrating to be Pepperdine, but um yeah, I don't know. Do you think there's any world where Ajayi and Battle start on this team?
I do, yeah. Are we sure Ben Gregg is a four?
That's the question.
So yeah, I think there's a definite world where you just go small and put Ajayi there.
I think the best 5 players on this team could be Nemhard, Hickman, Battle, Ajayi, Ek to me. And I think what I like about Battle and Ajayi as a pair is that I think Ajayi can defensively make up for what Battle doesn't do. And
Mm-hmm.
Battle offensively can make life easier on Ajayi. So I think this works, but you're going to have to go small. And I think Mark Few's good at molding his teams to the players that he has. If those guys deserve it, I think we'll see him go small. If they don't, the nice thing is I think either one could be the best sixth man in the WCC, and it'll work out. But really, really good transfer class. Okay, some superlative questions. Who's the best player in this class at the end of the season? This is a tough one.
It is. Let me get Battle, man. Look at it, like the now that you've illuminated my worldview to some of the like I just didn't realize he got to the line like that. And that I think that counts a lot because that's a lot less volatile than his 3-point shooting can be. So yeah, it's a great fit. Gonna hopefully unlock something that we haven't seen from him before, actually having some good teammates around him.
Now that I made the pitch, I'm going to shock you with this answer. I think Ajayi is the best player from this class at the end of the season. I think Battle's the best scorer, and they can have very similar impacts. But to me, Battle is too one dimensional. All he does is score. He could lead this team in scoring and still not be as valuable to the team as what Ajayi can bring. Who's the most improved player from the start to the end of the season in this class?
Probably a Jai. And I know he just put up 17 points per game last year. I wouldn't say I'm expecting like a big strides on that end, but it was only, I mean, it was his first year of Division 1 basketball. So I still think there's another level for him to ascend to. Whereas, again, we just mentioned it. This is going to be Battle's 6th year, and I think he's probably going to do a lot of what he does. It's just going to look more efficient and better around other teammates. And I don't think he's going to change a lot who he is at this point.
I'm going to go creative answer here. Braden Smith is the most improved player because I think this kid's really good, and I think he's just going to like sharpen iron against Nemhard and Hickman in practice every single game. And even if nobody sees it because he's redshirting, the strides he's going to make going through those battles on a day-to-day basis and testing them is going to make him so much better by the end of the season. And I think these other guys are pretty finished products too, but I like that play for Braden Smith. Hot take time. Give me a Gonzaga transfer hot take. What do you got?
Emanuel Asiedu has a moment in the NCAA tournament.
Ooh.
And not in the first round. It's not going to be like 2 seed Gonzaga against your 15 seed Big South champion and that Innocenti has a highlight play. It's going to be in the round of 32 or later where he has like a big steal or a big dunk or something. Maybe even a nice 5-minute stretch where you get Bill Raftery on the call saying, and that is why Mark Few brought Emanuel Asiedu into this program.
I could 100% see it. I like this a lot. Yeah, he would be like the guy at an opposing fan base is just like, who is that guy? And Gonzaga fans are like, we knew it. We knew it was coming. Mine's really hot. This one's really hot. Braden Smith will be starting a guard for this team by the NCAA tournament.
Who are you taking out? Are you sending Nimhard to the bench?
I don't have to answer that. I don't have to answer that. I don't have to. My actual answer is this, and I don't want to be the guy that predicts this. I think there could be a world where disaster happens and somehow Braden Smith is like brought in to save things. And I'm not going to speculate on a specific idea of that, but like, God, what a luxury to know if emergency happens, you can break glass and pull out one of the best point guards in the country from last season. If there is no disaster, my pitch would be maybe it's not working with Nolan Hickman anymore. And I'm not saying you want to play Braden Smith and Nemhard together. They're honestly very redundant, in my opinion. But if Kaith Battle and Ajayi are that good, what if Ben Gregg's also awesome? And you need to play Ike, Ben Gregg, Ajayi, Kaith Battle. What if Braden Smith's just busting Nolan Hickman's ass in practice? Like, are we really going to make him wait a year? I think that could happen. It's a hot take. It's supposed to be hot. But I believe in Braden Smith that much, Riley.
All right. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
I think there's a 1% outcome of that actually happening.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to victory lap so hard if it does. Okay, thanks for doing this, Riley. That is Meet the Transfers Gonzaga edition number 18 on our list. We have 20 other videos in the Meet the Transfer series going up on the channel, 3 per day, every day this week. Thanks for watching. Go check them out. Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. You know, honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when, like, you know, their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems. There were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement always exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in northern Indiana or southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.